everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, and just calm down. Everyone be cool. Everyone be cool. It's my favourite time of the week, and apologies that it's a day late, but you know, we have such a packed schedule these days, whatever. This is a very important edition of Wrestlers of the Week. But before we get to that, and I'm sure you know why, and we'll talk about it at the end of the video when we get to number one, and I'm sure you know who it's going to be, but we've got to do all the other stuff as well. We've got to do all the honourable mentions, we've got to do 10 through 9, and you know what, to be fair, it is quite an interesting week on Wrestlers of the Week, apart from number one, which is, let's just calm down. But the others are interesting as well, I promise you. Let's just crack on with the old honourable mentions. Let's do it. The old honorary M's this week are all the women who don't make the list who wrestled at Evolution, because it was a truly historic event for WWE. Regardless of the build or how well you might think WWE would have booked it, all the wrestlers really tried to make it feel as special as they could, and I commend them for that. Son of Havoc had a really good match on Lucha Underground. I've gone from all the women in Evolution, just Son of Havoc, Matt Cross over on Lucha Underground, and then I've gone for everyone on Jericho's Cruise because it looked like a right laugh, and then I've gone for all of NXT because I enjoyed this week's episode of NXT, but none of them were like individually big enough to make it on the Wrestlers of the Week. So I've gone, just to recap, every woman who appeared at Evolution who doesn't make it on this list, just Son of Havoc from Lucha Underground, everyone on Jericho's Cruise, I guess that means fans, wrestlers, crew, cabin members, everything, and all of NXT. So that's quite a busy honourable mentions this week. It's almost like I've been too focused on the end of this video rather than the start, but I promise you, we'll talk about the top 10 in some detail. Let's do it. Let's crack on. Number 10 is a man who I believe has only appeared once on this list this year, but he's a man who I also never thought would appear on this series at all. And it's a man I'm delighted to welcome back to Wrestlers of the Week. At number 10, it's Danny B, Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan, right, I think is a ballsy mofo, as they say on the streets. He is, honestly, I commend him for his decision not to go to Saudi Arabia because of his stance on certain things, like their views on homosexuality, their banning of Sami Zayn for his Syrian ancestry. That's apparently the reasons why Daniel Bryan didn't go over there. But this is Wrestlers of the Week, and also he had a bloody good wrestling match too. He wrestled AJ Styles on SmackDown. They kind of shotgunned his WWE Championship title shot to television rather than have it in Saudi Arabia because he refused to go. So he had a match with AJ Styles. They gave him like 20 minutes as well, and when there's a 20-minute match on free TV between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, you can't really complain, and you know it's going to be good. And it was good. It wasn't maybe as good as it deserved to be, and the main reason that I've got Daniel Bryan so low on Wrestlers of the Week is because of the booking, which isn't his fault, obviously. So D-Bry tapped out to the calf crusher. It's rare that you see top-level babyfaces such as Daniel Bryan tap out, especially on television, not at a pay-per-view. And it was quite jarring. I was like, that's a bit of a strange outcome. Could this be kind of a repercussion for his refusal to work the Saudi Arabia show? Regardless, even if it wasn't for that reason, I still don't agree with the booking. I think that of all the baby faces you could have submit to AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan's not the one. He is famed for his heart and his resiliency both in kayfabe and in real life, so why would you make him tap out? I don't know, but it was a good match and he did all them moves well, so he gets a point. Number 2, his opponent, and still WWE champion. I went a bit New Day there. It's AJ Styles. Styles was obviously Bryan's opponent, retained the WWE Championship against, in kayfabe, one of the hardest tests he's had to face. But at the same time, I feel like this match, again, explaining why AJ's a little bit lower on the list, I feel like this match was robbed of a little bit of suspense, just because we all know that AJ is going to carry the belt into Saudi Arabia. I'd argue as well that his match at Crown Jewel, which happened yesterday, but I'm recording this before Crown Jewel, oh no, what have I done? Well, what I'm going to say is I'm going to confidently predict that AJ Styles, as this video is live, is probably going to still be WWE Champion. I reckon he'll beat Samoa Joe, and if he hasn't, then I'm going to look like a right idiot right now. But no, it was a really, really good match. Of course it was. It's between AJ and Daniel Bryan, two of the best ever in the history of, ever. I don't mind AJ's long title reign continuing either. I think that that's quite cool, and whoever takes it off him, they're going to get a lovely big old boost from that as well. So, well done AJ. 2 puntos for you. Number 8, the loser of the Mae Young Classic final, Io Shirai. Io was like proper good at Evolution. I was watching her just thinking, wow, she is a cut above. It's like when you watch, for example, AJ Styles or someone like that, you think they are just a level above. 90% of the other wrestlers like on the roster as well, in terms of their grace and their movements and their ability and just generally being amazing. I feel like Io Shirai is the same. Regardless, like, I could say she's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, but I think she's actually just one of the best wrestlers in the world. She's so good. And I'm sad that it's taken me until 2018 to really focus on her. I watched a couple of her Stardom matches. She made Wrestler of the Week a few months ago, actually, for an excellent main event she had in Stardom. But, I mean, this match against Toni Storm was too short, wasn't it? Let's be honest with you. Or let's be honest with each other. Because this is a two-way give and take kind of situation going on. But no, the match was, too short. And honestly, I'd rather they'd sacrifice time from a few of the other matches to give this match a bit more time, because it was excellent. And I think that Io Shirai, despite losing, has really presented herself very, very well. I think that my favourite moment, or one of my favourite moments of Evolution as a whole, not my favourite moment, we'll get to that later on, but one of my favourite moments was her springboard sunset flip, where she went like a long way across the ring, tucked her head at the last second. It was like impossibly graceful and perfectly executed. That's it, she executes everything perfectly. But for that means she's the 8th best wrestler this week. I'm feeling like the system's a little bit flawed. It's not. More impressive things happen, like, which we'll get to in a second. So number 7, for a mixture of a good match, but also for sort of groundbreaking booking reasons, I'm giving it to Fabian Aichner. Now, Fabian Aichner is one of those guys on NXT who sometimes comes out and will lose to like Cassius Ohno or, Keith Lee. The new hot guy on the block will come in and Aichner will give them a good match, but ultimately fall short and lose in the end. But he is now, if you haven't heard already, the Evolve Champion. Still under contract at the Performance Center at NXT. Evolve Champion. What's going on? So yeah, Aichner just showed up at Evolve 114, I think, 114, and beat Shane Strickland and just took the belt from him. Don't know how I feel about this booking decision, because Evolve is its own little self-contained universe a lot of the time. They build their own feuds. They often rely on just their roster of guys. They don't bring in too many outsider guys to like crush storylines and that sort of thing. So this is very unusual for Evolve. Shane Strickland looked like he was getting a lot of momentum as well as the new heel champion. He sort of took the belt from Matt Riddle on his way out, and I was like, let's see what Shaney Boy Strix could actually do. And then Aichner's just come in and just taken it from him, and you know what, it's not wholly a bad thing right now, it's just a very intriguing one. I don't know what's going to happen next. What does this mean for the relationship between Evolve and NXT? Could we see more NXT guys coming in? Could we see an Evolve like invasion of NXT? Could we see a big old joint Evolve and NXT show? Please give my boy Darby Allin all of the belts immediately right now. Well done, Fabian, though, mate. Sorry for getting sidetracked on you've got some points this week. Well done. Commend you for that. Number 6, I just mentioned him actually, but we're going to refer to him by his cool Lucha Underground name, Killshot. So if you don't follow Lucha Underground, basically what they do is they have, a season of action, and it all ends with Ultima Lucha. I believe this is Ultima Lucha Cuatro, the 4th Cuatro. What a bad pronunciation that was. I did Spanish at school as well, I promise you. Ultima Lucha Cuatro. Delightful. This was the first week of Ultima Lucha Cuatro. Because it's such a big pay-per-view show, but they only have a small slot on TV, it runs for, I think, 3 weeks. This was the first week of Ultima Lucha 4, and it featured a great match between Shane Strickland, Killshot, when he's got his mask on, versus Son of Havoc, Matt Cross, who I mentioned, actually, remember, in the old strange honourable mentions. They had a wonderful match. It was so intense because the stipulation was mask versus mask. It's one of the best recent Lucha Underground matches I've seen. Back in season 1, like back in the day, Lucha Underground were killing it. It was a great match. Like every 2 or 3 weeks, you'd be like, whoa, look at Phoenix or like Mil Muertes absolutely killing themselves to put on a genuine match of the year candidate. Now it's like those great matches seem fewer and further between. I don't know really what's changed in Lucha Underground, but it's a bit of a downer for me. But at the same time, this was a great match between Son of Havoc and Shane Strickland. And also, he had that great match with Fabian Aichner. I preferred this one to the Evolve match. I've watched both. I prefer this mask versus mask one because I'm a child, but at the same time, the Evolve one was a bit more serious and cool. But Shane Strickland, Killshot, lost his mask and revealed himself to be Jermaine Strickland. Oh my god, I can't believe it was him all along. I like that. It was a funny little joke. Next up, the new and two-time NXT Women's Champion. Boo! Boo! It's Shayna Baszler. I was saying Boo Baszler. Big bad Shayna B was an absolute dick at Evolution. She's a great heel. She's so merciless and sadistic. And she had one of my favourite matches of the night. Not my favourite match of the night, we'll get to that in a bit. Shayna, competed against Kyra Satan, and it was classic heel versus babyface stuff. I've heard a lot of mixed opinions online, though, about the finish where the two horsewomen of MMA got involved and basically cost Kyra Satan the match and allowed Shayna Baszler to steal the title back. Personally, I'm fine with this. I think Shayna Baszler's a heel, and as long as the horsewomen aren't getting involved each and every time, thereby making Shayna less of a threat, I'm fine with it. If it's just occasionally. In this match as well, it wasn't an interference for no reason. Kyra Satan backdropped Shayna into the crowd. She landed on her mate's laps, and they were like, all right, come on then, let's get involved. And it was all organic, and it all seemed to make sense. It felt real. And I think that's the best thing you can say about this match as well, is that it felt real. The part where Shayna hoisted Kyra Satan by just her arm and was like holding her above the turnbuckle, I was like, this is brutal. And it was great. Again, I've seen such mixed reviews of this match online, especially from Davey M, Uncle David Meltzer, and I was just like, I thought it was one of the best matches of the night. Second best match of the night. No prizes for guessing which one I thought was match of the night. That's right, it was Trish Stratus and Lita versus Alicia Fox and Mickie James, ovs. Next up, number 4, Kyra Satan. Now, when you're watching a wrestler and you start off thinking, oh, they're a good wrestler, they move really well, they've got good selling and technique and moves and all the rest of it. When you watch a wrestler, you're like, they're a good wrestler. But you're not a fan of them, you're just like, wow, they're good. Then you watch them again and you're like, they're good, you start noticing little things, and you're like, oh no, they're really good. And then this was the turning point match for me with Kyra Satan, where I was like, I'm now a Kyra Satan fan. Basically, I think Kyra Satan has the potential to be the purest babyface, the most popular babyface of the entire women's division in WWE. Not like on a megastar level like Ronda Rousey, but in terms of being a Daniel Bryan-esque figure in the women's division, what we all wanted Bayley to be before they messed her booking around so much. Kyra Satan's got that potential. She's just so likeable, so energetic, so fun, gets the crowd behind her. In her entrance when she had the belt on the treasure chest and was like, oh, it's mine, I was like, that's adorable. Then she lost it and it was heartbreaking. And that's wrestling storytelling at its most basic. It was great, but the match wasn't basic. The match was really good. She's so nimble, and I don't know if I'd put her quite on the same level as Io Shirai in terms of sheer pure ability in the ring, but she's not far off, and that combined with her excellent character work makes her one of my faves. I honestly put her above Shayna despite losing the match, because I think this is going to carry on, and I think this is actually a good thing for Kyra to lose this match, especially when you watch the post-match segment where she confronts Shayna backstage and there's a stagehand like holding her back and she's all defeated. Like, it's awesome. She's great, and I think she's got limitless potential, and I think she's still fairly young. I think she's only in like her late 20s, so that's pretty good too. Yeah, I think she's fantastic, and that's all I've got to say. You know what? I've had this next to my foot like the whole video, and I'm going to start drinking it now because I've been scared of knocking it over. Number 3, check your bloody watches. It's Toni time. It's Toni Storm. My heel, like my Achilles tendon, like clicked when I did that there. I'm getting old. I'm getting on a bit. Toni Storm obviously won the Mae Young Classic. What a result. I think that Toni Storm, again like Kyra Satan, has such potential in WWE. Maybe even more potential because she's disgustingly young too. She's about 22 years old. If you're watching this video and you're like 22 or under, I hate you. I hate you so much. You know that Blink-182 song where they go, nobody likes you when you're 23? That's not true. Everyone likes you when you're 23. You're still young. The world's your oyster. Disgusting. I'm annoyed. I'm so annoyed. But anyway, getting on to the match before my quarter-life crisis kicks in. Toni Storm had a really good match with Io Shirai. Again, I've mentioned earlier in the video, it was too short a match, but at the same time, I really enjoyed it. I thought that Toni looked great. I thought she sold the monumental achievement that, she won the Mae Young Classic and everything. Not just when Triple H got in the ring and gave her flowers and stuff, but in her selling and her increasing desperation throughout the match, especially when Io Shirai kicked out of the first Storm Zero as well. I just thought the whole thing was really neatly put together. Despite its small length, its short length rather, it was very neatly worked. And I thought it all made sense. And I think, on the whole, I think the Mae Young Classics matches are a little bit too short, especially once you get later on in the tournament and you deserve to see more like epic, maybe 15-20 minute matches. But at the same time, I can't complain about the quality of it. I thought it was wonderful. And I think that Toni Storm should have really big things in her future. Should do in theory. But then, who won the last Mae Young Classic? Oh, it was bloody Kyra Satan. I was just talking about how great she is for the... Never mind. I'm talking out of my bottom. Number 2, the biggest heel in WWE. Nah, she's great. Love her really, she's a great wrestler. Charlotte Flair. Charlotte was great in the last woman standing match at Evolution. Just superb. One of her best matches, maybe my favourite Charlotte Flair match I've ever seen. No, yeah, it must be. What else will she... Yeah, no, it's my favourite Charlotte Flair match. There were so many bits of this match that I really enjoyed from Charlotte. From her swanton through the table was great. From her like rising from the debris and the rubble of the announce table and everything to chase Becky around the ring. It was so wonderful. She's really, really good. I feel bad for Charlotte because in this storyline, obviously everyone wanted her and still wants her to be the heel, but she's getting booed for it. And she doesn't deserve to be. In a similar way to Roman Reigns, you know, Roman got booed loads, yet was, you know, a really underrated wrestler in the ring, and I really can't wait for him to come back because I think he'll be more appreciated then. And I just can't see this happening for Charlotte as long as Becky's the heel and she's the babyface. I think like Charlotte, you know, doesn't deserve all these boos. I feel like she deals with it well and with a lot of grace and dignity, but at the same time, I just feel bad for her. And I just want them to turn her heel because she's great at being a heel. She's so cocky. She's so superior. She's like a woman. Despite being Ric Flair's daughter, she reminds me of like a female Triple H. She doesn't cheat and stuff. She's just the best. Triple H cheated all the time. What am I talking about? But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But regardless, I think Charlotte deserves the big 9 points on the Wrestlers of the Week league table. I thought this was her first time on Wrestlers of the Week, but then I checked and she's at least appeared once before over WrestleMania weekend when she had that great match with Asuka. So fair play, Charlotte. Hope you can grab a few more points before the end of the year. Don't let the haters get you down, yo. And finally, number 1. Well, it's been a long time coming and I'm delighted. So delighted. I didn't even know if it would happen, but when they announced an all-women's pay-per-view and when they announced this match, I knew that there was a chance that this person could be Wrestler of the Week. And they are one of my favourite wrestlers in the whole world. So it's great to finally give the big 10 points to Doug Basham. Well, no, of course not. It is Becky Lynch, just the hottest star in WWE right now. Not only in terms of ring work, where her matches have been getting increasingly good and crowd responses have been getting mega, but this match is like the culmination of it all. This is my favourite Becky Lynch match as well as my favourite Charlotte Flair match. I think it was great. I think Becky, despite being, you know, cheered by everyone, is a phenomenal heel, which is a shame because I'd rather she was babyface too, but she's such a good heel as well. She's so good at being just a dick. Her facial expression was just on point throughout the match. She wrestled at a tremendous pace. She did some like, I mean, Charlotte took a lot of painful bumps. Charlotte went through like a table and onto a ladder and everything, but Becky's leg drop off the ladder through the announce table, I didn't know I'm not too familiar with Becky's pre-WWE career, but I've never seen her do anything like that before. I was like, wow, this is getting crazy. A lot of people argue like the match was really hurt by Mike Chioda, at one point having to slide the chair across to Becky, or at one point stopping the count for Charlotte when she was getting to her feet. But I honestly think, apart from those like little things, and if they happened in another match, I think we'd forgive that. I think it's just because people are looking maybe for reasons. Whenever there's a match that everyone raves about, there's people looking for reasons to hate on it, and I think that's the case here. I don't think it was a proper full 5-star match. I do think there were little imperfections here and there, but it was so good. Match of the night, one of WWE's best main roster matches of the year, absolutely for certain. It would maybe make my list of like the top 10 NXT matches as well if it had happened on NXT. I'd have to think about that a bit more. But on the main roster, I can't think of too many matches I preferred this year over Becky versus Charlotte. And I'm just so happy to make Becky Lynch Wrestler of the Week. Just what a wrestler. Great. The comment section is going to be unbearable, I can tell. So, before we look at the league table, it is my duty to point out that the top 25 actually hasn't changed this week. No one in the top 25 got any points. No one near the top 25 moved into the top 25. So instead, we are still going to show the league table. It just hasn't changed. But Richard Tubman, who's editing this video, if you could please allow me to sing an Irish traditional song over the top of, it's Danny Boy. I'm going to sing Danny Boy over the top of the league table, and please don't cut me off at the end of the league table. That would be great, thank you. Oh, Danny Boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. Thus, I don't know the tune of this line. Summer's in the meadow, oh, when the valley's hushed and white with snow. Oh, I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. Thank you very much for watching this video. You can follow me if you want to on Twitter at JackTheJobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic and check out our Patreon if you want to as well. Patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, if you haven't already, to hit subscribe and to join us.